One is shilling already.
Of course. Shilling, shilling, we shill all day. Hello, Internet, and welcome to another chat about stuff that pisses us off during the week. I am Penina Chan, joined by Help for the Guildless and Twan.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We have a few people in live chat. How are you guys doing tonight? And how are you doing this evening, Antoine?
Well, possibly can be. Work is working like a dog. I might as well have a leash and a whip, but don't threaten me with a good time.
Oh my. So it's been an interesting week for us, hasn't it?
Net neutrality is a thing of the past.
It is.
I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, though. That's the only problem. Even before the show, we were kind of discussing the pros and the cons of it.
Mm-hmm.
Are happy that it's gone. Other people are, well, not.
Yeah, majority of people are not, but it's interesting to see their reactions as to why. There are some who thinks it literally is the end of the world, and others think that it's going to allow ISPs to charge an a la carte type pricing scheme, even though prior to 2015, companies were kind of already doing that. I remember getting offers for speed as low as 1.5 megabits per second versus being able to pay for over 300 megabits per second.
Well, they still do that now. They just consider it packages now instead of a la carte. Now, I am extremely happy with the way the internet is right now because of the fact that I grew up with the 56K modem. Okay, so I dealt with AOL with all the horrible sounds and the failures to connect. When it took an hour to download a picture just to see one damn nipple, I'm okay with the internet the way it is right now.
As am I. But there, again, as I mentioned, there are some people who think that it's literally the end of the world. And one example of this would be from our dear old friends over at the GLAAD.
Lesbian Alliance, I don't know what the other stuff is. But yes, these people have, they define hyperbolic and overdramatic and overreaction.
Now, I think this started, we were talking about doing a collab live stream on this because both you and I basically saw the same tweet that Glaad had sent out, where it was the repeal of hashtag net neutrality is an attack on the LGBTQ community.
Just specifically that community. Not everyone, but specifically them. I saw that as soon as it happened, and I believe my reaction was the same as yours.
Pretty much.
Talking about.
Just no, it isn't. I don't even know. I had to actually click on the article to even see what they were attempting to talk about, but we'll go end up going through it in just a second. But even in the article, that's nothing but hyperbole, because they're equating not only that ISPs are going to block and throttle you, supposedly the big boogeyman is going to do these bad things, but that it negatively affects the LGBTQ community more because they are part of a protected victim class.
Because, if it happens to one person, that progressive stack makes it to where the more oppressed are oppressed more by everyday thing.
I could be in a car accident tomorrow. I hope that I'm not. I'm not trying to jinx myself, but I could be in a car accident tomorrow. And there will be somebody going, well, car crashes affect black people a lot more than white people, or car crashes affect Muslims a lot more than they do Jewish people.
I had an aunt, part of my family anymore. Now, my mom passed away. She had, I don't know if you know what RSD is. I can't remember what the S stands for, but it's the best. It's rheumatoid something dystrophy. Basically, the bare bones of it is your nerves are telling your brain that you are constantly in pain. And not just tooth pain. I'm talking the most excruciating pain you could possibly be in. Of this disease as it spreads. She would never complain about her RSD unless it hurt a lot, and she would be in tears, but she would still be trying to hold it in. Decided. I honestly think she has Munchausen by proxy, but that's just me being an armchair psychologist. She would complain about anything, the newest thing. When fibromyalgia was the brand new thing that they were promoting on television, she suddenly had fibromyalgia. Whatever the newest thing was, she would have a doctor tell her that that's what she had and give her new pain. My joke with her, I never told it to her face, even though I probably should have, was my mom could tell you she's in tremendous pain. Someone could say that they were dying of cancer. My aunt would look them bold, plain in the face and say, I have Ebola, I'm dying in a few weeks, and be happy about it. That's what these people are like. They want that attention so bad. The headline. It's basically, it's end of the world, women affected more. It's that kind of mentality. This is a perfect example of it. This is something that affects everyone. So everyone who uses the internet on a daily basis, which of course is everyone, did more by it.
Oh. Apologies for the door. I was just kicking my cat out real quick before he started whining and scratching. What part of the arguments that have been going around in regards to net neutrality, before we get into I couldn't even call it meat without snickering into the meat of this article, and I can't even call a three paragraphs an article, but
it's an amazing article. It's so compact. There's no bits of information in it whatsoever. It's just them giving an opinion.
But it's just interesting how people not only are crying about, oh, ISPs are going to charge us more, but they're going to block and they're going to throttle, and now nobody will be able to do anything about it. I'm sorry, but with the FTC being released from controlling the net, it's not even the FTC controls the net, but the FTC regulates the businesses that control the net. So if the businesses start practicing anti-consumer practices, the FTC would be more effective in enforcing and punishing companies that do these things than the FCC would.
I agree, and I think they should punish them. But here's the thing: with the repeal of net, we talked about this earlier. The FTC now has the ability to regulate. All of the big companies now can have competition from someone smaller. So I don't think it's going to be a test of internet. I believe that it's kind of mutually assured destruction for internet companies. If they decide to start fucking with things, language for anyone who's listening with sensitive ears. They start fucking with things else. So I think they're going to pretty much kind of stay right around where they are now, because smaller companies are going to start showing up now. I can offer you faster internet service for cheaper. Well, okay, what else do you offer? Because I'm doing this with my plan. What can you give me?
Here's the other thing, and this was actually something that was commented on. We only briefly talked about the net neutrality thing, but the difference between yesterday and today is today we're going to be talking about this LGBTQ garbage that they're putting out. Yesterday, one of our regulars, which is Nemo, he basically said, here in Australia for the longest time, until a few years ago, it was just the government that had the internet that you could buy a package for. But then they also deregulated pretty much in the similar fashion that net neutrality is going. And all of these smaller ISPs started to pop up, which drove costs down, which provided more availability, and now more people than ever are on the internet. The thing is that with the bigger companies like AT&T and Comcast and Verizon and Roadrunner and Bright House, and I'm sure there's a couple of others out in your area. The thing is that because they not only do the television and phone lines and internet, is they try to charge more for internet by itself than if the internet was packaged together with all of these other things. Now, I understand the concept of bundling stuff together, but there are people who are cutting the cable, as it were. They don't want or need...
I've had my cable cut for years. I survive on Hulu, WWE Network, and Netflix.
So, an a la carte system may not be all that bad, especially since it actually could benefit more the poor. I'm going to make this argument. It could benefit the poor and the elderly more than anything.
Oh, it definitely will, but that's why cable companies refuse to do the a la carte system. People who still have cable have been asking for a la carte forever, because when you buy a cable package, you get, oh look, we have 350 channels.
And I when I did have cable, only ever watched 5.
So and then there's bonus packages where you can get HBO and Showtime or Cinemax
or sports,
and or sports. Yes, the sports channels. A la carte would be okay. I want Fox, I want CNN, I want ESPN, I want HBO, and that's all I want. So you get those a la carte choices. It's what people are believing is going to happen to the internet. You're going to have to pick and choose which sites you want to go to. Unfortunately, that is extremely hyperbolic because of how many sites there really are. There's trillions of internet sites. To be able to regulate that into a la carte, insane.
Right.
There is no AI on the face of the planet that can do that yet.
Yet. Shh, don't give him ideas. I think what the ideal a la carte would be is, do you primarily just use email for your personal and or business needs? Do you use social media, which for businesses would also be advertising? Okay, well, I could see, because those don't... See, what people forget is that using email and social media services, unless you're looking at videos and large photos, don't take up a lot of data. Music streaming, yes, would take up more data. Video streaming, yes, would take up even more data than that. So for some people, especially if you're talking about the poor, and that they needed to get jobs. Number one, The internet is a luxury. You can survive without it. I promise you, if we had a nuclear attack tomorrow, nobody would have internet. And wouldn't even be worrying about having internet. But you can't survive more than 3 days without water, and you can't survive more than a week, maybe 2 or 3, depending on how fat you are, without food.
I would survive longer than you in an apocalypse because I have a pot belly.
But you can survive without internet. How do you get jobs? Well, you can go door to door. If there's...
That's not necessary.
It's not ideal.
Real quick. Well, no, because there's a lot of places that don't have applications except for online anymore. I actually had this conversation with someone about like a week ago. There's no for jobs, it's all on the internet. Very rarely will you find someone when you go into a business that will hand you an application. They'll just send you online.
Fair enough. However, I have never had a job that I went to where I didn't apply online, and then I had to apply again on paper. Why the redundancy, I don't know. But there's nothing stopping people from having a application. It's just a convenience factor.
Convenience was taken away, we'd go back to paper applications, which I'd have no problem with because I rather liked meeting the manager and, giving my first impression as a good first impression. I got more jobs talking to a manager than I did online.
And it's a little more personal because then you can get a feel for the person before you actually have the interview. And I'm sorry, I see the comments. Yes, my kitty is whining because he wants to leave, so I apologize. Come here, you little sucker, you. My cat is not in favor of net neutrality repeal, so he's whining. So...
And cats use the internet now.
Yeah.
Jem, I know a few people that would absolutely die without the internet. One of them is named Anita Sarkeesian.
Because she can't cry for victim dollars around the world. So she would be left to a soapbox in the middle of Times Square. Or wherever she's living, who the hell knows.
She's in California.
Oh,
I
even
can
worse.
feel her presence.
Even worse. So, the internet is still a luxury. Just because something provides a great convenience doesn't mean that it's a necessity.
What net neutrality did was allow it to be considered a utility.
Right, which then...
Government...
Go ahead.
When you, like welfare or something like that, they usually ask you for your bills. So if you're going to be on food stamps, they want to know what bills you have to pay. Before net neutrality, you could not use an internet bill as one of your bills. But now, with net neutrality, you could, because it's considered a utility. And damn it, Max, that's...
Oh, so wait...
Paul would not bless us with his... Jake Paul would not be able to bless us with his stupidity. But yes, I understand that it would be much, much better without the internet, without him on the internet.
But think about it for just a moment. Oh God, no! Apparently, for me to keep my train of thought, I need to pay. No. Apparently, to keep my train of thought, I need to pay an extra $2.99. Quick, help me!
This is not EA.
Oh God, no! I just lost my train of thought. It was just... Never mind. I'm just rambling. I need to get better at writing stuff down.
We don't even need to talk about the first article that got us talking about this topic because of how small it is. But I want to point out something that is a quote that I love so much in this tiny, tiny little article.
This tiny article literally fills up my page, guys. Look at this. Okay, I'm sorry. It wasn't 3 paragraphs. It was 4. I am so sorry. I was wrong.
Half one of those aren't even a real paragraph. All right, this quote right here: "The internet is a lifeline for LGBT LGBTQ people to build community support networks and access LGBTQ resources on history, suicide prevention, and health. Allowing broadband providers to regulate access is a direct and unconscionable attack on freedom of expression. No.
No.
No, it's not. For the simple fact we talked about it. LGBT clubs in high school. There are the suicide prevention hotline. I knew about that before the internet became big. There were other resources besides the internet. Again, we're talking about convenience. It's just at your fingertips. So we start relying on it. How many people remember phone numbers?
There are certain phone numbers that I still remember. I even remember my old house number that I grew up in like 18 years. But
now, think about it now. How many of your friends' phone numbers do you remember?
Nope. That's due to laziness because of how convenient it was to have an address book.
Because now we have our address book in our pockets. When I knew my girlfriend's phone number by heart, my phone number by heart, my job's phone number by heart. That better not be your real number, Max.
Well, he didn't include his area code, so it's okay.
I knew off the top of my head. You mine now. It's just okay. I get. That's someone's real number, Max, without the area code. Someone actually found the area code for that, and they got calls about it. Now they actually charge for that number, but it's convenience. The things that they're talking about are outside of the internet. It's just the easiness and the fluidity of looking at your phone and finding them online. Across country without GPS.
So it sounds like for a minute they're saying that LGBTQ people are lazy.
Lazy than the rest of us too.
Oh, but no.
Not only are they pointing...
They should have all this information at their fingertips because suicide prevention, you could make up your mind in half a second whether you're going to just off yourself or not. And I'm okay, seriousness. I am not making fun of suicide. I really am not. I am making fun of people who make light of this kind of thing. That taking away the net neutrality is actually detrimental to people's access to information.
Exactly. But they're... Like I said, for this, in the example, happening, LGBTQ people affected more. Everybody's dying, but it's worse for them. It is... You don't understand these things because most of the people that do stuff like this, what was one of them? One of the articles, the communications intern.
Oh yes, which is all right. So before we get to that, I'm gonna just to let you guys know, there's like 4 different things in this article that are actually referenced. One of them is this one: assembled leaders for LGBTQ digital media, which leads to another one of Glaad's articles by the communications intern.
He's a communications intern. He doesn't know he's an intern. They just gave him this. They said, look, this is the topic. Go write an article. Go research it. They're not telling him to go look into it. They're just go give your opinion on this article. It's stupid.
So what is net neutrality and why is it important? Net neutrality is the principle that the Internet Service Providers, or ISPs, should allow users equal access to all online content. Yeah, no, that's not how...
Have that, though. But that's not what net neutrality was about. You said it was SOPA, right? Whatever, SOPA. SOPA was trying to regulate the internet.
SOPA and PIPA, the Stop Online Piracy Act, and I can't remember what PIPA stood for, but in a sense they both did similar things about piracy and intellectual property. That's what it was, intellectual property.
And regulating what sites that we can and can't go to. Net neutrality is not blocking access to those sites. Net neutrality is making sure that the ISP providers, the internet service, because that's redundant to say, the service providers are keeping it regulated at a certain price. Cars are regulated. I can buy a car here, California, the exact same car in Florida, and it'd be the exact same price. I'm talking base car, not depending on how fancy you want it and how plain I want it. I'm talking about the exact same car for the exact same price.
Well, hold on a second. Then that basically gets into the crux of it, isn't it? Is the way that they want to treat all online content is the same as saying, I want all cars treated at the same price point. Because basically, okay, so what net neutrality did was attempt to, and all good attempts are paved in gold to the roads to hell. I know I fucked that up badly, but you know what I mean.
Hold on, I have to ask Sylvanas something.
Okay.
Portland, Oregon, the suicide hotline on the bridges has not been in service for over 15 years. They haven't updated their damn signs. Horrifying. Why don't they update it? They're there for a reason.
Oh, because I guess they figured that you can get everything at your fingertips, and that you'll be leaving a goodbye message. In fact, a goodbye message on Facebook and Twitter before you actually jump. Again, I'm not making fun of suicide. It's just, again, South Park did an episode of this where it wasn't suicide, but it was basically people deciding to unplug off of social media, but everybody was treating it as if they committed suicide. Like, this person's not here with us anymore, okay? And they're sitting in the same. I know, and they're sitting in the person is sitting in the same room. All they did was just decide to delete their social media account. How are we gonna talk to them now? Okay, share the pictures of kittens and funny memes. Okay. Anyways, what net neutrality was ensuring that all information is received. Is accessible at all over the place and able to receive at the exact same speeds. That it was the argument for no fast lane, basically, no express lane. So everybody has to travel at the same speeds, even if it kind of slows everybody else down. And ignores the fact that if some people want to pay more to be able to access content faster, that they're not allowed to because it's bad for the rest of us. We all need to be treated. It goes back to we all need to be treated equally. So it didn't matter what you were looking up.
The problem with that argument is...
It didn't matter what you were looking up.
We already have that. We have slow lanes. We already have fast lanes. We already have super fast lanes. Mm-hmm. It depends on how much you want to pay. Mm-hmm. The internet access that I have in my home is the fastest it can possibly be before it jumps into business-sized internet.
But that's something that you chose to do. That's something that you chose to pay for, right?
Even that's with net neutrality in place. Change. That's what I'm saying. These people don't understand what they're talking about, and they're doing what they always do, and they are running these articles on the basis of fear. And it says in this last sentence, ISPs would also be able to restrict content they find objectionable. This could include silencing LGBTQ content. It's time to raise our voices and push back. It's not going to silence LGBTQ content because that content is in the mainstream. They are no longer an oppressed people. are out in the open. People are celebrated. The gay pride parades and the LGBTQ parades are celebrated. When you're celebrated about something, liars. Mainstream. When it's okay for you to walk down the street in assless chaps with a strap on attached to your forehead and nipple clamps, well, fine.
What my concern in all of this is that by making the internet protected by net neutrality as a Title II utility, like all other public service utilities, eventually creates a monopoly. And with a monopoly, there's no competition, there's no innovation, there's no reason for it, or there's no drive for it. Just like here in Florida, we only have one electric company. That's FPL.
There's only one out here in California too, and there's two. There's one for Northern California and one for Southern California, but it's split right down the middle. But I only have one choice for the company that I want to go to, unless I want to do solar, and then I have like 1,000 I can choose from.
And then let me, and there's the solar problem. I'm not saying that's a problem, but it gets to what I'm going for. With public utilities, then they regulate your usage or how it's used or whatnot. They can also regulate and penalize you if you decide not to use it. You've heard of people going off the grid, collecting their own water for their own personal use via rainwater and whatnot, growing their own food.
Illegal, which I don't understand.
So they punish you for not paying into a system that you're not using. So imagine the internet for a moment treated in a very similar fashion. Why would there be... okay, so municipalities, your local cities, your local...
The government is going to punish me because I don't go to Pornhub enough.
The local municipalities and cities restrict, or at least in my area, they restrict what ISPs are allowed to service those areas. Which is kind of silly because in my city, I only have two major options. That would be AT&T and Comcast. But less than 15 miles away, in any direction from me, it would be Comcast and Verizon, or AT&T and, oh God, who knows what else. But they limit who can service what areas. And the argument is, well, because the cities don't want all these little ISPs that come by to keep digging and putting down their own lines. So then now the city has basically created monopolies and duopolies, which for these areas, again, don't...
It's not good. It's not good. There's no innovation. The only reason we were able to get for the type, cable connected internet instead of using the 56K modems and the T1 lines and things like that is because people were able to compete with other people to try and get faster and faster and faster and faster internet. People wanted to download things faster, wanted to interact faster. We only have one or two to choose from. They just have to one-up each other. And if they're both okay with where they are, then they're never going to advance.
Which also creates another issue of price fixing, which is illegal. But you'd have to prove that they're price fixing. I remember it was a few years ago, before the whole net neutrality thing, before all of this other stuff. In my area, again, because the city limits who provided what in what area, it was still AT&T and Comcast. Comcast, at the time, was the only one that provided high-speed internet, I added the S on there. High-speed internet in my area, whereas AT&T offered, not dial-up, but the whole broadband thing, limited to 1.5 megabits per second in a household of 6 people, 2 of which are gamers. One other person is a Advent Hulu or Netflix streamer, we were sitting here trying to work around each other's schedules. Like, okay, I'm going to online. I want to watch this movie, so please don't hog the internet. And we continuously got crappy service from Comcast. We had left Comcast, went over to AT&T because we thought, okay, at least they'll get better. And there's the promise of them putting in the better service in our area. Took them nearly 3 years to do so. And it's like, okay, fine, we're going to have to deal with Comcast crappy customer service after a year and a half. We just jumped ship from AT&T to go back. We had no other options because we're sitting here fighting with each other for it. And for what reason would AT&T have to do better unless it's like, okay, they're losing business to somebody else who has crappy customer service? But anyways, I'm getting a little off topic.
Let's face it, they all have crappy customer service.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could just... I was going to try to actually sing the song in my head, but like in a more monotone way, kind of like William Shatner, but never mind. It's not just internet too, but let me give another example. We, in the state of Florida, we only have 2 major home insurance companies that you can go with. And they just both of them keep increasing the price yearly. I'm not saying that they shouldn't increase the price, but I'm talking about like it keeps jumping nearly $50 to $100 almost every single year.
It's highway robbery.
Yes, and there's no reason...
Fighting to go lower.
Yeah, there is no reason for them to not do it because there's no other competition allowed in the state of Florida. I made this example, I forgot who I was talking to the other day, but I made this example where you have car insurance companies who are allowed to sell across state lines. So I could get an insurance on my car through Geico, but Geico does not offer home insurance in my area. They're not allowed to. Why not? Because I'm sure I could get a better price with them home insurance-wise than I can with the 2 other assholes who have this duopoly.
The whole net neutrality thing is about. When you break it, you get the chance of competition. There are smaller companies. There's AT&T, there's Comcast, Spectrum. We have Spectrum around here. Here's the thing. T-Mobile, and even Cricket. That's how we get the internet when we're not connected to the Wi-Fi in our homes. Some of their internet extremely fast. So if they could start breaking into the market of being internet providers, poised, take notice, and maybe change the way they do things. But we're not going to find that out until they're given a chance. It being regulated to only certain internet providers, that's not going to happen.
Savannah said something, Spectrum runs from other networks like AT&T, but that would mean that they would be basically like a vendor in a sense who uses somebody else to get their services from. That still doesn't stop them from negotiating with AT&T what services they can provide at, let's say, even if they paid AT&T a certain premium in order to get again, it goes back to it, a fast lane to provide the content that you're looking for without having to get all the other extra garbage.
Okay, so they're talking about fast lanes and slow lanes and medium lanes and hyper fast lanes. Are they then saying that the LGBTQ2IP, etc., word salad, alphabet soup, not able to work? This seem like a disabled class. Because if that's true, then this is a detriment thing that they're trying to draw attention to. They're trying to say that LGBTQ members cannot afford speed.
Well, actually,
And that's why
in a sense, that is what they're saying, because from the article from the communications intern, this sentence right here: imagine internet works as a highway without net neutrality. There would be fast and slow lanes, and wealthier drivers. Ooh, there's that envy. And wealthier drivers would be able to buy access to the faster route. So only poor people drive in the slow lanes.
More of that. That means the people who are dealing with the slow lanes and the servers of the slow lanes start getting better. Their servers get bigger. Their processing power gets stronger.
Because of the wealthier people putting more investment in the faster lanes allows them to repair and make wider the slower lanes. So why do you not want faster lanes again and wealthier pay? Isn't that wealth redistribution?
You already touched on what they don't like. The wealthy can afford the higher internet speeds.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So what? They earned it. To buy my dream car is a Lamborghini Diablo. I want it jet black with a cherry red leather interior. I want to stand out like a sore thumb anywhere I go. Afford that car and still live and pay my rent? I'm going to buy that fucking car. Drive it on the super hyper fast lane. I will roar, but my detriment is it only gets like 6 miles to the gallon. So
you're stimulating the economy because of all that gas that you have to buy for it.
Get into my freaking car every single day. But I chose that. I chose that. Took it upon myself to buy that car. So if I can afford the super fast lightning speed internet, then I believe I can actually. It has nothing to do with me shitting on the people in the slow lane. It's, look, I have this expendable income. I'm going to spend it on faster internet.
What is it? Jem basically says that's not how it works in reality because most rich people live outside the city. They may live outside the cities, but they still have to travel on those roads in order to get into the cities to manage their businesses that are making them wealthy. Most business owners that I know travel a lot from place to place, either getting new contracts or checking up on their stores, meeting clients. They do a lot of travel.
All about what they feel that they can and can't do. They don't want people who have the expendable income to show that they have expendable income. They want everyone to be poor. They want everyone to be... They're socialists. They want everyone to be equal. They don't want someone...
They don't...
entire life.
Yeah.
To become a CEO. I'm going to buy that 12-bedroom house, even if I only have 3 people living in it. I'm going to have maids. I'm going to have the 80-inch television that's 4K. I'm going to have every single thing that I want because I fucking worked for it. I don't need people telling me that I shouldn't show my wealth because it may offend other people.
What it comes...
Offended by me being successful, maybe you should fucking look up to me and try and find out what I did.
Yeah, you can be successful too. Nobody is stopping you from being successful, but you have to put in the work for it.
They want to be given to them.
They wanted to be given to them because my oppression. No. You cannot claim somebody else's who may have lived or died before you, and that's the optimum word. May have lived before you. That wrongdoing may have been done to. You don't get to claim victimhood off of them. You are who you are, and you are the only one living your life.
you didn't have to let everyone know that, but I mean, if you want the penis extension, you can get it. Mine already hangs down to my knee, so I don't need anything more.
No, again, Gabe, the argument is that they live inside the cities or don't live outside the cities. The argument is that they travel a lot in and out of the cities. They spend a lot on travel, whether it's by car or by helicopter or by plane or fucking missile for all I care.
They've earned it. I don't want you to be able to earn anything. So, okay, there are 6 people watching us right now.
Hi, 6 people watching us right now.
So, those 6, say you and I are CEOs. We make millions of dollars. Millions and millions of dollars
one
a
day.
year.
Maybe one day.
One day, right? But don't take offense, I'm not actually calling you all socialists. I'm just using you as an example. The 6 people in our chat want us, they want to be socialists. They believe that we should give up our income in our hard-earned currency and expendable income and spread it amongst them.
For what? Okay, for what value? What value? What value do the 6 of you give me that would make me want to give up my money to you?
With me, don't do that. So, want us to continue. That's the thing. They want us to continue working as hard as we do. The difference between what just us. Buzz, we give Buzz of the Hive $1 million. Just give him $1 million.
All right, Buzz, you have $1 million.
Going to spend that money because he hasn't earned it. He doesn't know the value of it. He doesn't understand that it's not that we're not. He's expecting us to give him more as soon as he's done with it. So he's going to spend it. It's the lotto winner's curse. Huge amounts of lottery money end up going bankrupt % of the time.
See, as much as I keep looking at the Powerball, as much as I keep looking at the Powerball, I keep going, all right, I would only take 1 million off of that, and I'd live off of that the next 10 years. The rest of it goes into the money market. Let it continue to earn money, and I'll just take out the interest every single year. I'll take cruises from time to time. I'll live very luxuriously, but I do want to spend a majority of that on creating a business to create jobs. I want to reinvest that in people. I'm not your typical lottery winner, but I know that not a lot of people think like me either. I want to do something productive with it.
The reason the lottery winners go bankrupt is because they have the same mindset of these socialists. Mm-hmm. Someone else is going to give it to me. Now, what you should actually do if you win a huge Powerball that's something like $500 million, you take the payments. You don't get the lump sum because you end up getting more in the end. Take this as advice if anyone ever wins. After you win, you hire 3 people. You hire an estate lawyer, you hire an accountant, and you hire a financial. You hire a financial.
4 people. I would hire an attorney too.
Because they understand how to spend your money. Because they deal with it. Or devices, you could say, "Oh, I'm gonna take $1 million and I'm gonna save the rest." And then, what normal people do, who never had that much money. Shiny new car and go, I want one of those. I want everything that I've ever wanted that I never could afford. Money's gone. What happened if you and I, as CEOs, spread our money to the rest of the people? You would be putting out more of the labor than they are they get our equal share.
Right, no, that's why I would want to start a business. The first initial investment to get it going would be out of my own pocket, but the idea would be with the accounting and I would also hire somebody who could help me grow my business to the point of, they know the inner workings of the product management and, all that other mumbo jumbo stuff. It's like I would want it.
Actually, with my example, we've started a war in the comments that they're threatening each other with guns over the $1 million.
I would want to get a business going so that after my initial investment to get it running, it becomes self-sustaining and can provide people. So in a way, I am giving people money to live off of, but they have to work for it and they have to provide a service to society in order to get it.
That's why this whole highway scenario is complete and utter bullshit. You and I can afford the super ultra highway speeds.
But again,
putting money into that.
But here's the thing.
Trickles down into the other stuff. Other stuff.
Here's the thing. With toll roads, the money that you pay for the roads is supposed to go back to improving the roads, keeping them maintained, expanding, etc., etc. The money for that doesn't come from the people driving in the slow lanes. The slow lanes are just for public access for the most part.
Well, that comes from the people who are willing to pay the money to go on the toll lane.
Right. So the more people who are able to pay to go in the toll lanes, because you don't want to make the tolls too expensive, but at the same time you don't want them so inexpensive that they just become the next slow lane. Right. You need to find a balance, and that's what people think, is that there's not going to be any market balance if the internet goes a la carte style. They're not going to charge you exorbitant amounts of money, not like the Martin Scarelli, whatever his name is, Martin, the guy with the AIDS pill. They're not going to charge you exorbitant amounts of money in order to just get every single nickel and dime out of you.
Already been killed over the $1 million we've given him.
Oh, R.I.P. Rest in peace. It has to be a right balance in order to maintain a steady income, which is the revenue generated that you would put into the maintenance, and then anything that's extra that it's allowed from the profits helps build new infrastructures so that more people can access.
But the problem is that they don't want people to agree to that. They want to scare them in thinking that everything has to be the same. They don't want the people in the slow lane to learn how to get to the fast lane.
Well, that's very easy. Here comes a merge right now. Look, it's not that far. Look, make the left turn. Do it. Oh, you missed the turn.
So difficult because I am so oppressed as an LGBTQ member that I am being discriminated against every single day of my life. I can't afford the super lanes because of the fact that I don't have a job because I don't want to work.
I want the power of the internet out of government control as much as possible. And nothing better for a luxury item to be controlled by the consumers, to put the power of the consumers, the power back into the consumers' hands, because it's the consumers who can take class action lawsuits against giant corporations should they have poor anti-consumer practices. There was another friend who I was having this discussion with on Friday, and I'm interested in his arguments, but the only things that I could think of against the arguments, and I'm not trying to be mean, I'm trying to be very respectful. I have a great deal of respect for this person, and I told him I could be wrong. I am willing to admit if I can be shown where I'm wrong, but I am not taking the position that I'm right. I'm taking the position that I could be wrong because here's my understanding. Please show me where I'm wrong. Or show me what is right, as opposed to that. Anyways, he was coming from the position that AT&T has done the throttling and done the blocking before. I'm not taking that away. Yes, they have, even before net neutrality. But they could be held to account by the FTC for doing these horrible things, for blocking and for throttling.
Instead of being regulated, there are now penalties. Regulated, you have to follow a set of rules to a T, or else you can't have it. Without that regulation, you are free to do what you want.
But there are penalties and consequences to that.
There are penalties now, and consequences. And you brought up a good point: class action lawsuits. What a better regulation do we have right now, besides social media?
The other
that step out of line.
Oh, yes.
They get inundated with social media, and they end up making changes. Patreon is a perfect example.
Oh, yes, we're sorry.
Patreon decided they were going to add fees. I have my own Patreon.
Mm-hmm. So do I, even though I don't have any. I'm not shilling. Anybody who's in this chat, I'm not saying this because I'm trying to guilt you into anything.
Patrons,
I don't have any patrons.
My point being, the larger creators saw a mass exodus. Mm-hmm. Patrons were not happy. To their patrons, they talked to their fans, they talked to the people who are paying them money and said, what's wrong? And basically they said, Patreon is trying to, bilk us for trying to support you, for trying to support what we like. And and what happened? Everyone was talking about it. And then 3 days later, Patreon went, look, we're sorry, please stop leaving. Please stop not donating. We will take back everything. We're not going to push through the extra 35 cents. We thought it was going to go do this and this and this. That's what happens. That's how you regulate ungovernment regulated utilities. The people regulated.
Thank you actually for bringing that up, because it's kind of circulated, but it's like never made that connection before. Like Patreon, what happened with Patreon is a perfect example of what can and most likely will happen should the ISPs go rogue and try to screw every nickel and dime out of you. People will get fed up, and because it's a luxury, because you really don't need it, people will leave. And if you hit them at their bottom dollar, they will change, or you can take them to court, which will hurt them even more.
People at Glaad don't understand. The people at Glaad want to scare you into thinking that everything needs more government.
People at Glaad want to tell you that you have no power and that you need the government to protect you. No, you don't. Nothing is more powerful than the individual. Nothing is more powerful than consumers. Nothing is more powerful than capitalism. I'm not talking about crony capitalism. Yes, that happens, but we do have ways of dealing with it. And that is why the US is still the freest country in the world, despite what you might think. I don't want us to become like China, where their government has their hands so deeply rooted over years, over decades, into the internet that they block out sex.
Stuff like that breeds. That's the thing, though. Stuff like that breeds innovation. Some of the best world come from China, and it's because they have to find a workaround of the barriers that the Chinese government puts in place.
Right.
Now, Max asks what they're going to have in its place. They don't need anything. They didn't have anything up until net neutrality came into place.
Right, they didn't have anything before 2015.
Anything now.
Net neutrality is barely 2 years old.
Need anything. What's going to come in place of it is regulation from the people. The consumers will have the power again. If you are part of AT&T's network, and they start deciding to overcharge you, what this will allow in your area is a smaller ISP to come up and say, look, I know they're overcharging you. I may be a small ISP, but I can guarantee you the same speeds for a cheaper price.
The point...
And they will start getting bigger because you will advertise for them.
The point that I was trying to get out with China is because the government has their hands so deeply rooted in how their internet is regulated, that basically now they've also implemented the social media, it's like it's a citizen online like credit score. I don't know what the official name is, but it's a credit score for your online interactions. So basically they're tracking everything that you do, all the comments that you like, all the comments that you dislike, the people that you associate with, what television programs you watch. The thing is that you get in trouble if you don't defriend people, friends or family, who post anti-government things. So you have a negative score. You get points if you praise the government. And then you're penalized. You're penalized if you don't have a social media account. So in a way, it's compelled behavior so that they can keep track of you. I don't want the ISPs being under government control, because then the government can sit there and go, okay, now we have access to what everybody's doing. We can regulate what people say and do online, and we can regulate what content is or is not allowed. I'm sorry, isn't Germany doing that? That they're banning websites for the perception of quote hate speech? Am I wrong?
No, I agree with you, because that's what
That's it. Might be
hate using it, but it's a slippery slope. If you start,
it is a slippery slope. But there are examples of what has happened because the government has so much control over the internet in these countries. I don't want that same thing to happen to the U.S.
Korea is a perfect example. North Korea is a perfect example. They have 4. That's it, 4
websites,
and you can only go to those 4. They don't have Google, they don't have Amazon, they don't have any of that stuff. They have their own internet, and it's 4 sites.
And with the internet having been...
And it's extremely regulated.
And with the internet having been classified as a public utility under net neutrality, places like Google and Facebook, who are considered public forums, not Google, Facebook, and Twitter, who are considered public forums, who are also publicly traded companies, are not held accountable for censoring people's right to speak on their platforms. There is a difference between violating actual harassment and just having a different opinion. They, in a way, net neutrality protected them. So no wonder places like Facebook and Twitter and Google think about it. These companies were in favor of net neutrality. Why?
They could determine what they wanted on their site.
Without...
We've all heard the stories. People, conservative voices being banned. Like Milo Yiannopoulos off of Twitter. He got banned for something he got banned for retweeting a fake tweet.
No. He got banned for calling out Leslie Jones on some of the shit that she was spewing, and he was basically trying in the Milo Yiannopoulos fashion of don't be a victim kind of thing. And then the dogpiling.
Yeah, we've heard these voices being silenced. Now, there are people who cheer those voices being silenced. And those are the people that we don't need regulating what we do. If you are, if perfect example, Steve Shives is a totalitarian asshole. He believes that he would wipe certain people off of YouTube, take people off of Twitter. There's nothing, if you don't agree with him, you do not deserve a voice. Why these companies are in favor of net neutrality, because they can then tell you what is okay. If net neutrality is gone, people to deal with the publicly traded company, they have no control. Mass exodus. The Twitter bannings are coming tomorrow.
The purge.
Right? Talked about this before the stream. If it goes off of some form of bot that gets rid of people who follow certain people, exodus of conservative and dissenting voices off of Twitter will die. People are going to find another platform. Twitter doesn't understand how many people have these quote-unquote dissenting voices. They see it as marks. Remember, that was just supposed to verify that that person is that person. Now it is an approval of Twitter. Ooh, check marks are the ones that are the ones that are using your site.
The way that Twitter and Facebook, especially with Google curating search results leading up to the the 2016 U.S. presidential election, net neutrality didn't stop them from censoring and or blocking the content that you see for private companies. Companies that, Google being the largest search engine in the world, Facebook and Twitter being the largest social media interaction platforms there are.
And YouTube is the
second largest
media platform. Yeah, the second largest media platform.
No, it's the second largest search engine, but is the largest. You were right, the largest media platform. What's to stop these companies from doing that?
Was that you that sent me that tweet? Max said he's nuking his Twitter tonight at midnight, and he wants people. I don't know what you mean. Do you want us to just mass report you?
Someone needs to reduce their yammer yammers. You know what, Crisscross? Shh. I'm censoring you. Shh. And I'm not a large company, so I don't get in trouble for it. Nah. And Count Dankula. Yeah, Sargon's on.
If you want me to report you that, I will. Yes, Sargon's on Gab. Dankula's on Gab. He's still on Twitter.
For now.
For now. I believe he is going to jail for a tweet or for a video of teaching. For the big Kyle
we
puppy.
Don't know until after the new year. I think his next date is January 5th. But he says it could always be pushed back again, and it really more is just what is the verdict going to be? Is he going to be forced to just pay a fine and avoid jail time, or is he going to be stuck in jail? Jem says, yes, Matt, report me.
Fine, Max, I will report you. No, for what? You haven't really posted anything too offensive. Post a Pepe meme. If you post a Pepe meme, I'll report the Pepe meme.
Chris Cross says there is way too much talk about something that no one really cares. We haven't just been talking about the LGBTQ thing that, yes, not a lot of people care about because this is nonsense. But there is so much that is wrapped around the hyperbole and hysteria and people tearing their hair out left, right, and center that it kind of just bled into what the whole thing is. Here's the other thing, another appeal to emotion that the friend that I was having the discussion with on Friday. He says, you're a YouTuber and a streamer. Yes, I am. By the ISPs, they would charge you more in order to do this. It's like, if they do and I can't afford it, fine. I will find something else to do. Or I will find other ways around it. I am a very creative, a very I am very self-reliant. I will find ways of still managing what I do. It might hurt a little bit. It might make it a little more inconvenient. But I seriously don't think that the ISPs are going to charge more for that. They're not going to charge more than what the average user is paying now. They can't, because then they know that they're going to lose people one way or another. But if it came to the point that I couldn't afford all of this access in order to do it, fine, I have slower upload speeds. Okay, fine. I go to just recording and uploading rather than live streaming. It hurts a little bit, yeah. But I will find other ways around it. And the inconvenience would only be temporary. Until I find a solution. It's not permanent. The only thing that is permanent in life is death. Sorry.
And taxes. Don't forget.
Oh yeah, and taxes too.
After you die, they still charge you taxes.
Raspberry Pi has a great build called Your Own VPN for $40. There you go.
On these things, and I do agree. This is a very, very small issue, but we're not talking about the issue of net neutrality. We're talking about the hyperbolic nature and the fear mongering from places like Glaad and other socialist type companies. And as much fun as this has been, work is calling shortly. So
I understand.
I apologize.
No worries. It's I think we've basically talked all that we're going to talk about this, because the ridiculousness of it, and what people just need to realize is you just need to stop, just slow down. Don't buy into the hype.
Don't be so reactionary. Take a second, take a breath, find out what's going on, and then act.
It's not that we are not hearing people's concerns. I am open to talking. I am open to finding the truth. I can only tell you what I know and understand so far, and I am willing to admit I might be wrong, or I am wrong, but let's find out the truth together without getting emotional about it, because the second that you start getting emotional about it, then people can manipulate your emotions and manipulate your decisions based on those emotions. The point is, don't let people manipulate you, because they gain and you don't. Well, that's basically it that I have to say. Is there anything that you'd like to close on, Antoine?
Put it rather eloquently. Yeah, I do believe that you need to take a step back, do your research, find out what's going on, and then just act accordingly. There are always options, as was said. Raspberry Pi has a VPN. There are a ton of new VPN companies out there that are trying to work around this stuff. So that's the best advice anybody could give.
No. Well, it has been a pleasure, sir. Where can people... I'm sure most of these people that are here know where to find you, but for my viewers who don't know where to find you, where can they find you at?
Me on YouTube at Help for the Guildless. You can also find me on Twitter at @Colespire. Right now I'm going by 12 Days of Antoine, because I love Christmas oh so much. I really don't. I hate Christmas season. But I'm as long as I don't get thrown to the wolves in the Twitter purge, that's where you can find me. And I upload videos at least twice a week. Now once a week because of my work schedule, but It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I hope to do this again over something else that's a little bit more interesting than the LGBTQ community.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be something in the next week or so, or next month. Who knows, that we can find something to chat about. I know that I'll give you this video to upload onto your channel as well. So for anybody who is seeing this on Help for the Guildless, I am Penina Chan. You can find me on YouTube, on Twitter. I do gaming on Twitch as well. I also have a weekly podcast called the Gator and Frog Bogcast. Get it? Frog and Gator Bogcat. Anyways, Mr. Crisscross in the chat is a fan of ours over there. So we talk about stuff on a weekly basis, usually going from week to week, about new news in the tech and gaming, usually centered around people complaining about, oh my god, my oppressions in gaming and tech. So thank you all for joining us, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Festivus for the rest of us. Have a good night.